Hello, everyone out there in YouTube land. Welcome back to Diego Knows. I, of course, am Diego, and today we're going to continue. That's right, we're going to continue to talk about Till There Was You. That's right, Till There Was You. That wonderful, wonderful, lovely rom-com from 1997 that I loved so much. It has a very dear place in my heart. I really, really love this movie. I was a young kid when I saw it. I was in the Marines. I was very lonely. I was very broke. Okay, I didn't have a car. Okay, so I walked around the base and I would go to the base theater because we got to watch movies for free there. After they'd already been like in regular theaters for like a few months, they would come to the base theater. We watched it for free. Okay, and I watched a lot of movies that way. And unfortunately, I watched a lot of rom-coms, and this was a gem. This was a gem that I saw. Like I said, I didn't pay to see it. Okay, I saw it and I loved it. I loved it. When it came out on DVD, I bought it and I would show it to people, girls mostly that I dated. I would show them this movie. I thought it was sweet, and charming, and just, and serendipitous, all that kind of bullshit mush that you expect from a good rom-com. I honestly, God, saw that. Okay, well, recently I watched it again. So I can review it for you as part of my category, chick flick praise, okay, which is I'm actually going to review chick flicks that I actually liked. Okay, because there's a few of them out there. Usually I just destroy chick flicks on this channel, and I destroy your fucking Sex and the City. I destroy that on this channel too. Hey, you want to know what a straight guy really thinks about them bitches? This is where you come to get it, okay? I ain't gonna bullshit you. I got nothing to gain by lying to you, okay? I'm gonna give you a straight man's point of view, okay? That's the point of view you never got, okay? When you watch your shit with your girlfriends and your gay friends and shit, you ain't getting none of that shit here. I'm gonna tell you the shit that your fucking dad should have told you, but he didn't tell you because he didn't want to fucking hurt your feelings, okay? Same thing with your husband and your boyfriend, all right? We're gonna tell you the fucking truth. Can you handle it? That's the real question here. Can you handle it? I don't think you can. I don't. All right, so that's what I'm gonna give you. I'm gonna give you the real truth, okay? And the real truth is, now that I've watched this movie maybe for the 36th time, I don't know, okay, so that I could review it for you, because I know it has its fans out there. The truth is, this movie is a piece of shit. It is not a good movie at all. What the fuck was I thinking? Well, I'll tell you what I was thinking. Okay, I was young. I was a young man. Okay, I was probably 21, 22 maybe when I saw this movie, and I was lonely. I didn't have a girlfriend. I'm living on base, which is fucking 99.9% men. I don't have a fucking car. I don't have any fucking money. Yeah, this is the kind of movie that a guy like that would most definitely fall in love with. And I did, okay, but it does not hold up to scrutiny. It's a badly made movie. I like the idea that you've got the parallel lives between the male lead and the female lead, and you see them from childhood, grow up, they watch the same shows, they know the same people, they went to the same school, they went to the same fucking university, they fucked people that each other knows. They've worked with the same companies, they've been to the same locations, they go to the same fucking restaurant, they do all this fucking shit. You would think that they know each other, but they don't. They don't meet until the end of the movie. Okay, and that's why when they finally do meet, you're happy for them. Okay, because finally these two people that were the audience so clearly knows that they are meant to be together. Okay, because of all the similarities that they have, all the serendipitous circumstances, all the stuff they have together, you would believe, yeah, they were meant to be together. And then when they finally get together, it's a happy ending because you realize that all those bullshit relationships they were in was because they hadn't met each other yet. Okay, and then once they meet each other, you realize that they were the reason all the other relationships failed because it wasn't this one. It wasn't this one, okay? And that's how the movie ends, all right? Well, now watching it again, it's bullshit. It's bullshit. Not only is it a bullshit message, it basically tells you that, no matter what you do, you'll eventually find the right person, which is a bullshit narrative, okay? It means you just sit on your ass and wait for the fucking right person to show up. That ain't gonna fucking happen. They're never gonna show up that way. Okay, you actually gotta go out there and look, okay? You gotta get your heart broken. Okay, you gotta break some hearts too. Okay, before you find the person that compliments you the best. But if you're looking for perfection, keep looking, you will never find it. Okay, many men and women have grown old and died alone because they decided to spend their whole lives looking for that perfect person. The one who's the best looking, the most charming, the most romantic, the best in bed. Okay, and they fucking die with their cats. Okay, they die jerking off to fucking porn. Okay, that's usually what happens. Okay, no one's gonna be perfect for you. Okay, because you're not perfect for everybody either. Okay, okay, so. So it's a bullshit message. Of course, check your brain at the door. It's a fucking rom-com. What do you expect, okay? But I like the whole situation, but particularly with the male lead. Okay, Dylan McDermott's character, his name is Nick Dawkins. His real name is Nicholas Dacascos, but he doesn't use his real name because he's ashamed of his family. Nick Dawkins, okay, I understand what he's going through as far as like he has sex with women. He doesn't really care about them. He does that because he can't get close to people because he doesn't know how. Okay, he's afraid of getting close to people. Okay, and I can relate to that as well. So he comes up with this bullshit narrative. He lies about his past. He lies about his family. He lies to he tells girls that he came from a rich family, that his dad died in a plane crash, his mom put him in boarding school. Oh, none of that shit ever happened. He actually grew up very poor. Okay, we see him get evicted as a little boy. His dad's a drunk and out of work musician who's a drunk, and his mom's a waitress. Okay, so he's ashamed of his blue collar roots, you could say. Okay, so yeah, so he invents himself into this guy, Nick Dawkins, this inauthentic guy, okay? So to prove that he's better than where he came from. Meanwhile, you've got Gwen Moss, that's Jean Triplehorn's character. She's the female lead in this thing. She grew up believing in the fucking bullshit romantic stories that her mom told her from back when she used to work for John F. Kennedy and hang out at his cabin, probably in Martha's Vineyard, okay? For his rape parties, where women all of a sudden ended up dead in the fucking Chappaquiddick River. Yeah, exactly. Those kind of parties. That's where she met Gwen's dad, and they fell in love. We find out the story is actually bullshit. He did not fall in love with her when he met her. He was actually looking for another girl named Josie. Yes, we get her name, Josie. He brought some flowers for her. Josie never showed up, but Dee Dee showed up, and that was Gwen's mom. So she sexually assaulted him. Yes, she made the first move. Okay, she sexually assaulted him, and later on, Gwen is born. They got married. They were married for 34 years, and they decided to get divorced. So her dad, Gwen's dad, old Jewish man, tells her, "Hey, listen, I never loved your mother. I was actually looking for another girl, but I can't argue with her. So I stayed married with her for 34 years just to avoid an argument with her." Okay, I was never in love with her. So that bullshit story that I met my true love that night at one of Kennedy's rape parties, that was all bullshit. But she believed it as a little girl, and she always thought that would happen to her when she became an adult. Okay, she even talked about it when she was a preteen, going to prep school. Going to a private school. She talked to her best friend Debbie about it. Hey, someday I'm gonna fall in love just like my mom fell in love with my dad. I'm gonna bullshit. Well, it never fucking happened. Okay, so that's who she is. But now she's middle aged and stuff. She's a ghostwriter. She doesn't take credit for her work. Okay, and she still lives at home. So she had to move out because she's too fucking lonely. She can't find a boyfriend. She can't find a guy. The only guy that's interested in her is this super fucking beta male cuck named Bob, who I guess he's a publisher or something. He works for Francesca Linfield, who is this has-been child actress from a sitcom that she watched, a Brady Bunch type Partridge Family sitcom that both she and Nick watched. I guess it was a very popular show at the time. Okay, and she's writing her autobiography because now she's out of rehab and she's been fucking all these different guys. And she fucked her publisher, I guess, Bob, but she broke his heart, so he keeps crying about her. But now he wants to fuck Gwen, and Gwen is not attracted to him, and I do not blame her because he's a fucking super beta male. He cries in front of women. He cries in front of strangers. He has no fucking self-esteem. Okay, he wears clothes that are way too fucking big for him. He's just a fucking greaseball weirdo. Okay, I call greaseball because he put so much fucking gel in his hair I can't fucking see anything. All right, this guy, yeah, 90s, yeah, it was so 90s. Okay, a 90s beta male. Okay, she's not attracted to him at all. Okay, but apparently I guess they are seeing each other because he wants to take her to Paris. And why would a guy ask a girl that he has a platonic relationship with that, hey, you know what, you and I, we need to go to Paris. It'll get us closer together. You don't say that. You say that to a girl you're dating and you want to get closer with her. You don't say that to a girl who's just a platonic friend who shows no romantic interest in you at all. So I'm guessing that the movie said that, hey, she was fucking him, but they didn't want to officially say it, okay, because that would lower her value, if you know what I mean. Okay, we do know that she was in love with her college professor, Gregory, but he also liked guys, okay, and she caught him with another guy. So that broke her heart. She wrote this big poem about it, which was, shit, all right. So she's the female lead, okay? She moves into this apartment complex. In real life, it was called El Cabrillo. It was built by Cecil B. DeMille, a famous Hollywood director and producer back in the silent era, okay? Multi-millionaire guy. He built it. It was an exotic apartment complex for the time, but now it's more modest. It's a modest condo. In the movie, it's called La Fortuna, okay? And she fell in love with the place, and she moved in, and she's friends with her neighbors and shit. And as soon as she moves in, she realizes that they're gonna get evicted because the owner of La Fortuna was, you guessed it, Francesca Linfield, a has-been child star. She owned it, even though she's never been there. She's never set foot in the place. Never seen it, much less know anything about it or the history or any of that shit. But her agent, her manager bought it for her when she was a little girl, so she wouldn't blow through her fucking money that she made on the sitcom, because all of her money basically went to fucking crystal meth. So anyway, yes. So she sold it to Nick Dawkey. Nick is an architect, and he's also banging Francesca. That's his girlfriend now. Okay, because he fell in love with her back when he watched her show. Although he lied to her and said, "I never watched. I didn't know you were an actress. I never watched the show. Or, I'm in love with you for real, just because I like who you are." Bull fucking shit. Okay, he lied to her because he lies to girls. He likes to do that. All right. Anyway, he works for an architecture firm. Okay, and they bought Francesca's apartment based on his recommendation. He talked her into selling it. She didn't want to sell it. Okay. That's kind of how they hooked up and met each other and all that kind of shit. Okay, well, the reason the architecture firm bought it, okay, Nick's architecture firm bought it was so that they can tear it down and build a new condominium complex that Nick is going to design. Yeah. Okay, that's his bonus for making the deal with Francesca. Okay, and so they're going to evict everybody out of there, and Gwen just moved in. So anyway, Gwen goes to the fucking to this meeting at a high school. Okay, to contest the eviction. All the tenants went there. Okay, some of the older tenants speak, like Mr. Cat speak, but he gets told to shut the fuck up and sit down in front of the city councilman. Okay, and then old lady Harriet. Okay, she goes to the speak. Now we've met Harriet already. Okay, she's developed kind of a grandmotherly role with Gwen. She's this old senile lady, very eccentric. She's got cats, and she has these little dementia spells because she's like got to be at least in her 80s. Okay, and she likes to talk about the parties that used to go on at La Fortuna when she was a young woman. She used to be an actress in Hollywood. Okay, probably in the 1930s. Okay, and she loved the parties. Okay, and she moved from Omaha with her mom to Hollywood to make a career. I guess she started by playing the piano and shit. And she ended up working in motion pictures, which was a new medium back then. She fell in love with some guy named Irving. I don't know who the fuck Irving is. I'm guessing it was Irving Thalberg, who's a real life fucking producer slash co-president of fucking MGM back in the 1930s. He was called the Wonder Boy, the Boy Wonder. Okay, but he died at 37 of a heart attack. Holy shit, yeah. Okay, and he produced some of the most successful movies of all time at that time. Okay, he worked directly under Louis B. Mayer. They were both like partners in MGM, and they had a silent partner named Sam Goldwyn who was back in New York. Okay, so so he was called a Boy Wonder. So I'm guessing it was him, but I'm not really sure. They're not specific about it. Anyway, her mom would not let her marry him, so he married somebody else, which broke her heart. But she's the one that dumped him, whatever. And even though she's like 80 something years old, she still recites that story to whoever the fuck wants to listen about how she was in love with a Jewish man named Irving, who Irving Thalberg was Jewish, of course he was. Okay, and she tells everybody who wants to hear that story. Okay, and every once in a while she'll have a dementia spell where she'll think that whatever man is in front of her is Irving. And she'll start talking to him like she's fucking 18 again and breaking up with him again. She gives him this, whoever that guy is sitting in front of her, she gives him the same speech she gave Irving when they broke up when she was 18, some fucking 60 fucking years ago. I know it's sad to say it. I'm not supposed to be laughing here, but it's just like, I know it's fake. I know it's just a movie. All right. But I know a little bit about old Hollywood. Okay. And some of this stuff just doesn't make any sense. Anyway. So that's going on here. So she's developed a grandmotherly role with Gwen, okay? Because Gwen's not really that close with her parents. Like I said, her dad didn't fucking love her mom, which kind of turned her off. And her mom is now dating another guy, which also pisses her off. So she's not really close to her parents. She's closer to Harriet, her neighbor. Okay, this old woman who lives by herself and always listens to fucking music from the 1930s that reminds her of Irving, reminds her of when she was a young lady and lives with her fucking cats. All right. So she shows up at this fucking at the council meeting at the high school. To protest the eviction. She talks to the councilman. She makes this big fucking speech about La Fortuna holds secrets of old Hollywood, survived earthquakes, and these secrets need to be preserved because they're part of our culture, they're part of our history, and we can't deny them. And blah blah. To deny them is to deny ourselves. And all this kind of bullshit. And then she says, and that's why you cannot tear down La Fortuna because I won't let you. Ah! All the fucking tenants are clapping and shit. They're all because she made her fucking little speech there, her fucking Jimmy Stewart speech from Mr. Smith Goes to Washington. Anyway, one of the councilmen, this younger, good-looking guy, is about her age. Okay, his name is John Haas. Now, we've met him before when he was a little boy. He was like the hall monitor at the elementary school that both Gwen and Nick went to. In fact, he used to terrorize Nick. Nick got caught playing the piano in the music room he wasn't supposed to. He was being chased by John. Nick accidentally knocked over Gwen when she was a little girl. That's the first time they officially met. But he had to run away, so they didn't really talk or anything. And then John helped her up, and they fell in love. Okay, but of course, then Gwen went to fucking private school, and she's telling Debbie the story about how she fell in love with a hall monitor named John Hasselschmidt. Well, guess what? Now he's a city councilman, and he's sitting up there, and he changed his name to John Haas. What's the thing with the guys in this movie? They're always changing their fucking names. They don't want to keep their ethnic names. They want to change it more American, So anyway, he asked her out, and she about fucking creams herself. He's like, God, yes. Okay, like she's so fucking thirsty. She hadn't been laid in a few years, that she immediately agrees to it. Okay, he's a good-looking guy and all that, but she doesn't know anything about him, Anyway. So that's going on. That's where we left off. Okay, moving right along. Okay, I know in the last video I told you a lot about Louise Brooks because there was a section about Louise Brooks there. Nobody knew who the fuck she was. Okay, anyway, the character of John Haas is played by Craig Bierko. Now, Craig Bierko's been in a lot of stuff. He was in Sex and the City. I don't remember his name, but you'll remember him, ladies. He was the guy. He was the guy that owned the jazz club. Remember? He always wore the black fedora and the big leather jacket. Okay, he had all those musical instruments in his fucking his apartment, his condo, his loft. He was the best sex that Carrie ever fucking had. But he was also had ADT, okay, attention deficit disorder. He was easily distracted. He couldn't focus on anything. He would go from one topic to another topic and just keep shifting topics. And Carrie couldn't put up with that, okay? Even though he's fucking handicapped, she couldn't put up with it, so she dumped him, all right? And by the way, she picked him up while she was on a date with Big. Yeah, go figure. Yeah, so Big knew this guy too. Yeah, whatever. Anyway, so you remember him now, okay? And like I said in the last video, he played Max Baer Sr., the heavyweight champion of the world back in the 1930s in the movie Cinderella Man with Russell Crowe, where he played Jim Braddock in that one. Okay, moving right along, okay? So Gwen is spending more time on writing, okay? Now, Gwen is supposed to be writing Francesca Linfield's autobiography about her child star days, you know, and how she got hooked on drugs and all that kind of shit. She got hired to do that, but she hasn't really been doing that. Especially, she's been writing more about La Fortuna. Okay, I guess she's fallen in love with her role as the official protector of the apartment complex she lives in. So she starts researching La Fortuna. She finds out who designed it, all that kind of stuff. She starts writing these anonymous articles to a bunch of newspapers in LA. Okay, because they live in Hollywood. Okay, to write a bunch of articles demanding that La Fortuna be preserved as a historical monument. Okay, thereby not getting torn down. So she spent a lot of time doing that, okay? She's more time on that than she is on writing the fucking autobiography that she's being paid to write, okay? Meanwhile, Nick, our male lead, okay, he reads a letter that Gwen wrote to, I guess, the LA Times. Okay, she wrote it anonymously, so he doesn't know who the fuck wrote it. Okay, but he's reading out loud and he gets moved by it. Now, he's been moved by her writings before. She wrote that poem that she wrote after she caught her boyfriend with another guy. Okay, about how love's a flirt, you know, it has places to go and people to hurt, you know, because love has no secrets and love has no charms. Once I found you in another dude's arms. Anyway, he read that she lost it, so she had to recite it in class from memory. The actual paper she wrote it on, Nick found it. Okay, and he read it out loud, and he thought it was probably like the best poem he ever heard in his life. Okay, yeah. In fact, Francesca found out that he likes poetry, so she bullshitted her way into saying that I write all sorts of shit. I write poems too, and she comes some bullshit fucking like, you know, you're great at sex, and that's why you're best at architect. You know, all that kind of bullshit. Okay, so yeah. So anyway, he's reading these letters in the newspaper because they're talking about his company. His company's the one that's trying to tear down La Fortuna so that he can design a new condominium. All right, and he's upset. Okay, these letters from the newspaper, you know, so he's reading these letters out loud to Francesca. They're at this restaurant that you're going to see 100 fucking times in this movie called The Awful Truth. Now, The Awful Truth is basically kind of like a Planet Hollywood, but ugly. Okay, everything in there is gray and silver. There's jagged edges everywhere. It's clearly a lawsuit. Okay, no restaurant in real life would have that many jagged edges and that many spinning sharp devices all over. There's holes in the ground. The stairway is uneven. They got flashing lights in there. Okay, they got high beam lights in there, you know, where you can't see shit, okay? You can't find the front door, okay? To get into the fucking place, okay? There's places you can trip, you know, the tables have jagged edges where you can easily bump yourself and cut yourself, you know, the place is waiting for somebody just to get impaled, okay? But they keep going to that restaurant all the fucking time because apparently Ice Cube goes there, somebody saw Ice Cube there, so that's his claim to fame. Nick designed this restaurant. He did it on the side. He didn't do it for his architecture firm. He did it on his time off. He designed this restaurant and got paid for it. So that gets him to go in there all the time. Okay, which is one of the reasons Francesca likes him so much is because he can automatically get them in no matter what because he designed it. All right, so he's there at the Awful Truth restaurant, okay, and he's reading this letter to Francesca, and Francesca is upset. She feels jealous. She feels that he's cheating on her with whoever wrote the fucking the letters in the LA Times about La Fortuna, okay? Okay, so Nick won't leave. She's also upset at Nick because it's the holiday season. Christmas is right around the corner, and Francesca never spends the holidays in LA. She likes to go somewhere else, okay, to get away from the city. Nick, on the other hand, wants to stay in LA. Okay, he does not want to go with her. All right. Which is kind of weird, you know, because, I mean, she's Jewish. She wouldn't celebrate Christmas anyway, but go figure. Anyway, She says staying in LA for the holidays is non-enjoyable. She says it all the fucking time. She says it is highly entertainable or non-enjoyable. She always says that shit all the fucking time. Okay. Anyway, they admit that they both admit to themselves, to each other, that their parents were both alcoholics. She assumed that Nick's dad was dead because he never talks about him, but then he tells her, like, you know, I think he's like superficially in love with her, not really in love with her. He tells her, no, my dad's not dead. He's just a drunk, and I never go see him. I haven't talked to him in years. You know, that kind of thing, you know. And she said, well, my mom's a drunk too, so I understand, you know. So they kind of bond over that, okay. Their parents are both drunks, okay. He spends Christmas by himself. Okay, we see him, I don't know where, he's at a bar or something, okay, or at a restaurant, but he's all by himself and he's playing the piano because he knows how to play the piano, okay. He always keeps talking about how he's going to get a piano, but he never actually does, okay. He told Francesca when she moved in, even though she wasn't supposed to move in, she moved a lot of her shit, and she basically moved in. He said, no, don't put that table there, this is where I'm going to put my piano. Once I decide to get one, you know, once I find one that I like, you know, and Francesca, no, you're never going to buy a piano, okay, because you're in love with the idea of a piano, you don't actually want a piano, okay, which basically describes his life, exactly. He doesn't really want, he wants the idea of a perfect relationship, he doesn't actually want a relationship, okay, his whole life is that way, he's a fake. He's a fake. Even early in the movie, we hear him listen to that song, the old song, yes, I'm the great pretender, ooh, and he hears it and it basically describes, and he pretends, he doesn't even use his real name. He pretends, he makes up his backstory, his life. He's ashamed of it, okay? And he doesn't necessarily want a girlfriend. He wants steady sex, okay? But he doesn't necessarily want a girlfriend. And babe, I can relate to that too. Shit, man. Most guys can relate to that. Okay, I know ladies, you don't want to hear that, okay? But a lot of you are like that as well, okay? A lot of you are like that as well, so don't fucking be throwing cabbages at the fucking TV or your phone if you're watching this, okay? Because I'm telling you the truth, straight man's point of view. Can you handle it? All right, moving right along. So she's upset that he's not going to go spend the holidays with her, okay? So he spends Christmas by himself. Yeah, not with his family, not with friends. You know, he spends it by himself playing the piano, you know. Meanwhile, Gwen spends Christmas at the apartment complex. They're having a big party there for all the tenants at La Fortuna. But while everyone's getting drunk and partying and all that kind of shit, Gwen is sitting by herself on the staircase, blocking the stairs, okay, and just writing on her notebook. Okay, clearly she's writing another letter about fucking La Fortuna to the LA Times, okay? Okay, the next scene we see here, Nick is getting frustrated with all the preservationist letters, okay, that's what he calls it, okay, that are on behalf of La Fortuna, okay, that the LA Times keeps publishing, okay, he's getting frustrated with this shit, okay, it's like almost every week or almost every day, there's a new letter by this anonymous writer who's explaining the virtues of La Fortuna and why it should not get demolished, okay? And this is pissing him off. He's afraid that this is gonna fucking stop their deal, okay? You know, but also, well, he's gonna have a change of heart, okay? But anyway, on behalf of La Fortuna, so the LA Times keeps publishing it, he's afraid that it will threaten their deal, okay? So he decides to go there himself. He tells his boss. Now, he was supposed to go there already and do a site report, but he never got around to doing it. So he finally tells his boss, Timo, okay, listen, I'm gonna go there right now. I'm gonna go check out this fucking place and I'm gonna go find this person that keeps writing all these fucking articles about La Fortuna, okay? So he decides to go over there, okay? Now, like I said before, Gwen is anonymous when she writes these letters, so nobody knows who's writing them, but he assumes it's a girl and he assumes she lives there. All right, anyway, so he gets to the place, he goes to La Fortuna for the first time and he also falls in love with it, just like Gwen did when she went there for the first time. She finds Gwen's apartment. Gwen's not there, but Gwen likes to smoke. She never smokes inside the apartment though. She goes outside to smoke on her terrace, and there's this little cubby hole inside the brick where she hides her cigarettes. Okay, well, he sees the cigarettes there, so he decides to go there and grab one, okay? Like, what the fuck, dude? You didn't bring your own cigarettes? What the fuck? You gotta steal someone else's? What kind of cheapo fucking architect are you? Anyway, there's a lot of smoke in this movie. Everyone fucking smokes in this movie. I used to smoke back then too, okay, so I totally understand. I didn't see anything wrong with it back then. I see a lot wrong with it now. Holy shit, man. God damn. You know, realize that they're all still smoking today. They're probably either dead from lung cancer or really close. Or maybe they had a heart attack or shit, whatever. Okay, anyway. So he likes the place. He likes La Fortuna. He thinks it's very pretty, very elegant. Okay, and he finds Gwen hidden cigarettes. And then he meets Harriet. Harriet's there. Okay, now Harriet's dressed very nice for an old lady. She says that, oh no, she's not there. And he's like, well, how the fuck did you know who I was looking for? You know, he's like, she's out right now. You know, Harriet reveals that it was, he meets Harriet, okay, and she says, I have a prior engagement as well, you know. She's dressed up all nice, but they sit down and they chat for a little while, okay? And she reveals that a famous woman architect designed La Fortuna. And then, Nick puts two and two together. And he's like, I think I know who designed it. And he does know who designed it. It was designed by Sophia Monroe, not in real life. Okay, like I said, Cecil B. DeMille hired some male architect to design this place, El Cabrillo, in real life. Okay, but anyway, in this movie, Sophia Monroe designed it. Okay, now Sophia Monroe, we've actually seen her in the movie already. She was one of his instructors when he was in college, when he was going to architecture school. She was one of his instructors, and he got frustrated that his professor Timo, who's boss now, did not like his model that he made. And he about threw it out the window and almost hit Gwen with it when she was writing her breakup poem, for the professor that she was screwing that ended up liking guys too. All right, well, anyway, earlier in the movie, Sophia Monroe gives Nick a pep talk. He basically tells her that, I never thought I'd ever be a good architect. I never thought that this was something I could ever do until I saw your work. He tells her that when he was in college. And she says like, hey, I completely understand what you're going through. I know what it's like to feel out of place, like you don't belong. I know what it's like to feel like you're not good enough, okay? But we are architects, okay? We know how things are made. We pay attention to how things are made. And she leaves him with that, okay? Well, now, once Harriet's there, he realizes, oh my God, that's the woman, my teacher from school is the woman who designed this place. Like, he's like, oh my God. And now he's starting to feel a sentimental attachment to La Fortuna, just the way Gwen is. You see what I mean? The parallels? Okay, she's attached to it. Now he's fallen in love with it as well, even though they don't know each other. Okay, so Nick tells, Nick actually says it in the movie. He actually gets very mad. He's like, oh my God, it all connects. Yes, it does. He's basically telling the audience, yes, all this connects. None of this is by accident. Okay, well, that's because it was written that way. Okay, he's like, I'm an architect. And he tells Harriet, yeah, it all connects. And, he's like, oh, Harriet, you see, I'm an architect. I pay attention to how things are made. And that's how he realizes that Sophia Monroe designed it. Okay, and he listens to some of her stories, from old Hollywood, her dementia tales of Irving, I'm sure, was in there as well. Okay, and then her ride, I think it's a Rolls Royce. The driver picks her up and takes her somewhere. I don't know where, we don't know where, but she leaves. Okay, and he's stuck there, and he's very charmed by her. He's happy he met her. Okay, the next scene that we see is Gwen. Okay, Gwen arrives at the Awful Truth restaurant. Okay, like I said, this restaurant shows up a million times in this fucking movie. She shows up there on a date. She's on a date with John now. John Haas, okay, the councilman, okay, that she met that she was in love with when she was in elementary school. He's there, okay, and she's scared. She's scared. She pretends to be a non-smoker when the maitre d', the asshole maitre d' says smoking or not. She pretends that she's a non-smoker, even though the maitre d' recognizes her and knows that she's bullshitting. He even gives her that look when she says non-smoking is possible. He's like that, okay? Because he knows that she smokes. Anyway, he takes them to the table, okay? And of course, while she's walking over there, she's crashing into things and people and shit. Like, they're trying to make her into like a fucking Carol Burnett or an Anna Faris, and she's just not. The body humor, she cannot do slapstick, okay? She can't do shit where she's just tripping over things and bumping into people and knocking things over and slamming her head against something, by accident, okay? She's just not that kind of, she's too pretty to be that kind of an actress, okay? She does not have the talent, but that's who her character is. Her character is a klutz, always tripping over things, always losing things, always hurting herself, Okay, so that's what happens to Carrie. I guess it's to make her more endearing, to give her some more faults. She's got enough faults. She don't need this, okay? She crashed into people. Her heel, she's wearing stilettos and her heel gets stuck in one of the holes in the ground. Who the fuck has holes in the ground in a fucking restaurant, okay? It gets stuck there, so she falls. There's a big scene about it, makes a big spectacle, okay? She falls onto the waiter, makes him drop all of his shit. Nick and Fran are there again, because I guess they don't go into any of the restaurants to go eat. They always just go to the Awful Truth, okay? This is like the 17th time we've seen them there, okay? But anyway, Nick and Francesca are there. Obviously, the holidays are over with, okay? And they're like, what the hell's going on? Like, they can hear a ruckus, but they don't actually look to see what caused it. Okay, it's Gwen falling down, knocking over the waiter and shit. So John gets involved and helps her up and stuff, and they start talking, okay? They have their dinner date, okay? And John tells Gwen that I've never even spoken to any of my neighbors, and he makes light about, he actually makes fun of Harriet, which is a big no-no. He says like, oh, so you're pretty good friends with your neighbors there, like that woman, You know, ain't she something? That old lady that you're friends with, oh my God, ain't she quite a character? And Gwen's like, well, you know, it's not like she lives in a shoe or anything. He's like, you know what, Gwen? I don't think I've ever spoken to any of my neighbors or met any of them, you know? I guess I'm just too self-centered. I guess I'm just a misogynistic, chauvinistic asshole. I just like to have sex with women just to have sex with them. Then I don't give a shit about them until I get horny again. And if they don't want to have sex with me, then I usually have like several other girls that I have sex with anyway, okay? Now, sometimes I lie to women and tell them that I really care about them, that I'm probably going to fall in love with them, and you know, and that maybe we're going to have a future together, but it's all just bullshit. I just lie to women all the time because it makes me feel good. I get excited knowing that I can fuck a lot of hot, beautiful women and that they're all attracted to me. It feeds my ego and it makes me feel better about myself, which gives me permission to treat other people like shit. Because let's face it, okay, I'm a successful, good-looking councilman. All right, eventually I'm going to become mayor, and then that's just where I'm starting. Eventually I'm going to go governor, president, you name it. Sky's the limit as far as my career goes, and my career always comes first. All right, not pussy, not women, not kids. Okay, not my family, my career, myself. I come first. Okay, I just want you to know that. All right. Okay, I'm too self-centered. Okay, I'm too obsessed with my career. Okay, I'm going to run for mayor someday. You know, and that's just the beginning, okay? You know, I guess for me, my career comes first. Yes, he does that. You know, it kind of comes first, you know? I come first. You know, just, you get it? You know what? I think sometimes women don't like to hear that. Okay. Now, did I quote him? No, I did not. Okay. But basically that's what he said. Bullshit flag right there. No guy ever says that. Now, ladies, okay, I know there are guys that are like, I've met plenty that are like this. Okay. But they don't ever fucking say that on a date, not on a first date. You find out about that the longer you get to know them. Okay. On a first date, okay, everyone puts their best foot forward. Okay. If they like the person. Okay, so if this guy, the fact that he asked her out on a date, he asked her out and she didn't ask him out, means that he at least wants to have sex with her. Okay, and if he wants to have sex with her, he wants to present himself in the best light. Now, he already can tell that she's attracted to him. Obviously, the way she immediately said yes when he asked her out on a date. So he knows that, you know, if he plays his cards right, he's going to get some. Okay, it's going to happen. Okay, there's no way it's not going to happen. All right. So if that was me in the situation, let's say I'm a fucking chauvinistic asshole like this guy, like John Haas is. Okay, I would probably mention a couple of things. Okay, but I wouldn't tell her, hey, listen, my career comes first. I don't give a shit about you. I just want to fuck you, and that's it. Okay. You know, no guy would ever say that on a first date. And ladies, you know it's fucking true. No guy would ever say it. You find that if they are that way, you will find that out later on. Okay, later on. Okay, you won't find that out right away. Okay, not if you're on a date with them. Okay, if you find it out right away, you would never go on a date with them. Okay, so the fact that he admitted all this shit to her right away is bullshit. Okay, why even come up with the money to go to a fucking nice restaurant? Well, it's a piece of shit restaurant. I'm sure it's expensive because Ice Cube went there. Why would you pay for a date with a girl you just met if you didn't want to fuck her? Okay, and if you do want to fuck her, you don't want to fucking tell her you're a piece of shit. Okay, even if you are, you don't want to tell her that. All right, come on, that's just common sense. But you know, this movie was not well received. It flopped at the box office. This is one of the reasons why. Okay, and I didn't like that. Like, no guy would be that honest about himself on the first date. Okay, so that's going on here. He says he's too self-centered and obsessed. Okay, so that's going on here. All right, and he does the whole, you get it? Yeah, the punch. All right. Anyway, yeah, so that's bullshit flag right there, okay? Like I said, no one talks that way, okay? If you're making a movie, okay, and you want a character who's like this, okay, they're not going to tell you. You're basically telling the audience who the character is, okay? You don't ever fucking do that in a movie. You never fucking have the character just go up to another character and say, hey, listen, I'm a scumbag, asshole, womanizer. I don't give a shit about anybody but myself, okay? You don't do that. What you do is you show that. Okay, let the audience figure that out by watching what this person does. Look at what they say. Look at what they do. This is a case of show and tell. Okay, you're telling me everything, you're showing me nothing. Okay, we can already assume he might be an asshole or he could be a nice guy. Okay, but don't have him tell us that he's a fucking asshole, because then there's nothing to learn about him now. We need to learn that shit at the same time that Gwen learns it. That's script writing 101 right there. Okay, she needs to see him act like an asshole and make her own decision. Okay, you don't just fucking go up there and tell you, hey, I'm an asshole. No, that's not how you do a rom-com. Anyway, it's one of the reasons this movie flopped. Okay, so that's just bad writing. Okay. Okay. Another thing that kind of pissed me off about this scene is when I described all that shit about John Haas, how he's an asshole. Okay, you know who else that sounds like? It sounds just like Nick, the love interest in this movie. Nick is also an asshole. He lies to women. He lies about his past. Okay, he doesn't care about it. He hasn't seen his family in forever. He doesn't go visit them. He doesn't even see them for Christmas. Okay, he changed his name. He pretends to be something he's not. He brags. He likes to fuck a lot of women. He lies to all of them about his past and about each other. You know, he's not a faithful boyfriend. Okay, he doesn't give a shit about people. He gives a shit about himself. Okay, he's also an asshole. So let me ask you, ladies. Okay, if you're doing a rom-com movie, okay, why would you have the woman in a situation where she has to choose between two assholes? You're supposed to root for one of them, okay? You can't root for either one of them. They're both assholes. Nick and John are both assholes. Now, just because I understand Nick's character, I understand why he does the way he does. I understand why he's ashamed. I understand why he lies to girls. I know why he uses them for sex. I totally understand all that stuff, but it doesn't mean that makes him a good guy, okay? That doesn't mean that he's got to find some sort of a redemption. Okay, he's got to realize the error of his way. He's starting to do that, but on the surface, he's not. We've seen him with other girls. We've seen him lie to other girls in this movie. We've seen him break up with his girlfriend because he was cheating on her with Francesca. We've seen him lie to his girlfriend in college. You know, just use her for sex and basically like, you know, hey, you know, I don't give a shit about you. You know, that kind of thing. We've seen that already. Okay, so just because he feels bad about some of the stuff that he does doesn't mean that he's not an asshole. Okay, he's an asshole too. All right. Just like John is. So you can't root for either one of them, honestly. Anyway. Okay. I'm going to stop my review right here, but I'll be back shortly to continue my review of Till There Was You from 1997. I thank you very much for watching this as long as you have, and I will see you soon on the next